This video will teach you how to make your own lotion at home. You'll learn the basics of lotion making, discover the benefits of each ingredient, and learn how to make your own lotion with a free recipe that's included. The video is perfect for anyone who wants to make their own skincare products at home. Let's learn the basics of lotion making. So all lotions are made with the same ingredients. Well, not the same ingredients, but the same group of ingredients. So the first ingredient group is water. Water is used to go ahead and hydrate our skin, and it's typically a very big percentage of any lotion. So we're talking 80+% of a lotion is typically water. Now, this does include things like aloe juice or hydrosols. Our next ingredient group are humectants. So humectants are used to go ahead and hold that water to your skin to help hydrate you. So it'll even grab water out of the air and go ahead and hold it to our skin. Some typical humectants that we use are propylene glycol, hydrolyzed protein, keratin or silk, vegetable glycerin, and regular glycerin. So the water is hydrating, and the next ingredient that we use are emollients, which are moisturizing. So this is going to include butters, think cocoa butter or shea butter, and it's also going to include our oils, whether it's olive oil or fractionated coconut oil or any other type of oil that you have. It's also going to include fatty acids and alcohols, think stearic acid, cetyl alcohol, and xyrityl alcohol. So the next group of ingredients is an emulsifier. So in order to get water and oil to mix together to be a lotion, we need an emulsifier. So emulsifiers go ahead and combine the two together. And it comes in many forms. Some of the ones that I love are All of Them 1000 and emulsifying wax. Okay, now the next ingredient that I'm going to go over is actually two types of ingredients, but I clump them into one because they kind of do the both things at the same time. So we have thickeners and stabilizers. The sensory feel of a lotion is mainly determined by the thickener. At the same time, the thickening part of the lotion, so making the lotion more thick, helps the lotion become more stable, making it less likely to separate back into oil and into water. Some thickeners / stabilizers are xanthan gum, cetyl alcohol, and xyrityl alcohol. And I keep forgetting to tell you in the video, so I'm just going to pop in real quick and let you know that I do put the full recipe down in the description box below. I also put a link to my blog, so on my blog I go quite a bit more in depth about all the ingredients, why we use them, everything like that. So there is a lot of useful information over there. And if you haven't done so already, be sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Now, you have to make sure that you use a preservative. Anytime we are using water in a formula, you have to use a preservative. If you don't use a preservative in your lotion, it's not going to be safe to use on your skin because it's going to grow nasty things like mold and bacteria and other gunk in there that you don't even want to think about. So just make sure that you go ahead and put a broad spectrum preservative in there. Now, some preservatives are GeoGuard Ultra and Germal Plus. Now, our next ingredient that we're going to use is an antioxidant. This is not a preservative. Remember, the preservative is for the water. This is actually for the oils. So not a preservative, but we do use it to help extend the life of an oil. So what happens when oils are introduced into air is they go ahead and they start to go through the oxidization process, which is the process of them going bad. The antioxidant helps to keep the oils good for longer. So they help extend the shelf life of the oils just a little bit and prevent them from going rancid as quickly. It is also good for our skin, and that is why we include it in our lotion recipe. Again, not a preservative. This is for the oils, not for the water. I hope that makes sense. Now that we have all of the base ingredients for a lotion, let's go ahead and actually make our lotion. So our lotion is going to go ahead and consist of two phases. You have the water phase and the oil phase. So in the water phase is all of our water-soluble ingredients. In the oil phase, it's all of our oil phase ingredient. Go ahead and grab your glycerin. And we're going to add the xanthan gum to it. So what we're doing is we are pre-mixing or we're hydrating the xanthan gum, because if you don't do this, you can get what's called fish eggs and have these little clumps in your lotion that are very, very difficult to get rid of. So we just go ahead and create this slurry, and it helps make everything easier to mix. Once you have that completely mixed, just go ahead and pop it into your distilled water and make sure that you have this in a heat-safe container. Now, if you're using aloe or hydrosols, this is the point when you would add that in. And for now, we're just going to go ahead and set this off to the side. Our next phase is our oil phase. So what we're going to do is grab another heat-safe container, and we're going to add the shea butter, the xyrityl alcohol, All of Them 1000, and fractionated coconut oil. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take both phases, so the water phase and the oil phase, and we're going to place them in a double boiler. The reason why we use a double boiler is we want to go ahead and heat these ingredients, but we want to do it slowly so we don't damage the ingredients. So go ahead and put them both on the stove. Very important you put both of them. Don't forget to put the water on the stove, because if they're not roughly the same temperature, what's going to happen when you go to combine them, the oil is going to turn back into solid form really quick and you're not going to get an emulsion. So when the oil phase is completely melted, you're going to go ahead and remove both phases from the double boiler. Now, what I like to do is go ahead and wipe the bottom of the container. You want to remove any of that water that might be left on the container. And I like to use a mixing container. So my heat-safe containers aren't quite big enough to mix in, so go ahead and grab your mixing container. We're going to start by pouring the water phase ingredients in there. And to that, we're going to go ahead and add the oil phase. Immediately start to mix with your immersion blender. So you do have to use an immersion blender because we need that high shear in order to get an emulsion. So what I typically like to do is I like to mix for like 60 seconds, and then I'll go ahead and start mixing by hand, and then I'll mix with the immersion blender again, and then I'll mix by hand, and I'll do this back and forth until I have a really good emulsion. The next phase is our cool down phase. So the cool down phase is going to include any ingredients that are heat safe ingredients. So these are ingredients that cannot be heated. So we have to wait until the lotion is below a certain temperature. So we want to make sure that our lotion is below 120 degrees Fahrenheit before we add any of our cool down ingredients. We go ahead and add the hydrolyzed collagen protein, the hydrolyzed wheat protein, vitamin E oil, our preservative, and our essential oils. And then we're going to go ahead and mix this really, really well. So give it a really good mix. And then it's time to go ahead and pop this into your container. So make sure you take your time when you're pouring. If you try to pour too fast, you're going to wind up with a big old lotion-y mess. And then you're just going to want to let this sit with the top off of the lotion bottle until it's completely cooled so you don't get any condensation in there, which could cause mold or bacteria. And that's how simple it is to make a lotion. I know it sounds like a lot, but once you get into the habit of doing it, it's actually pretty easy to do. And it's super easy to customize this formula to suit your needs.